Hey everybody, Coach Brandon Krause here. Today we're going to go over wrapping your hands, or I think everybody knows that is definitely a part of the boxing game, is protecting your hands. These are your tools, as they say, and you don't want to do anything that's going to damage them. Let's go over some basics on hand anatomy right now, okay? Make a fist for me, Maggie. So we want to remember that the striking part of the knuckles are these big two knuckles. If I make a line down our arm, you see that that's what stays in the center of the forearm. Open your hands up. If I try to move these apart, they don't move very easily because they're nice and locked together. These, on the other hand, you see that they're more off to the side of our hand. If I made a line, they're completely out there by themselves, and there's a lot of movement on these. The fear is that you strike with these knuckles and they break away from the rest of your hand, and that's so common in boxing that a doctor will even call it a boxer's fracture, so we want to try to avoid that. And one of the things that we do here in the gym is put a cloth wrap on your hands to help protect those metacarpals and those knuckles, and to provide somewhat of a bigger surface area of striking as well, all right? We have these cloth wraps. They're the most convenient, all right? There's also gauze and tape, something that you would use in a competition where you exclusively only are allowed to use those. But in the gym, it's way more convenient to use these reusable cloth wraps, all right? These are 180 inches, but anywhere from 120 to 200 inches are going to be good for you. Less than 120 inches, they're not going to have enough wrap to wrap your hands, all right? So I'm going to wrap Maggie's hands. And before I even get started, I want you to know that there is no right or no wrong way to wrap hands. You will experiment. You will come up with your preferred methodology, right? And what I'm going to show now is kind of the basic wrapping 101 that I have my people that come into the gym that are partaking in boxing for the first time, and they don't have their own wrapping style yet, okay? So it's got the thumb part on the outside. I'm going to feed that through her thumb here. I'm going to go opposite the joint. A lot of people will go with the joint, but I find that cuts off a little bit of circulation to the thumb. So I always go opposite to the joint. Next thing we're going to do 2 wraps around the wrist, come around the joint, make sure that wrist joint is taken another 2 times. Now I'm going to bring this up to those knuckles, right? And when she finally makes a fist, you want to remember that the striking part is going to be the front of her knuckles. So I don't want to do anything that's going to necessarily protect here, but I wanted to protect the front of her knuckles, so I angle that up a little bit further to where her fingers start. Another 2 wraps around her entire knuckles. And then what I'm doing is I'm going to create a padding by folding this again and again. And this gives you a bit of, like the word says, it gives you a little bit of padding for the impact, but also, like I said earlier, it gives you a bigger surface area to strike inside of that glove, which is definitely feels good for the fighter, right? So now what I'm doing is I'm taking the cloth that I'm running under her hand, and I'm going through every finger. Once I've done that, I want to secure that down, so I'm going to go back around her hand. And I don't want to forget about this thumb joint either, because getting that thumb joint is going to what's going to lock everything into place and make the entire wrap feel solid. So after I've got basically all the necessities, the knuckles, the thumbs, the joints, the rest of the cloth I could use to finish up around her wrist to add that support arm. And you see, make a fist for me, Maggie. Oh, what a beautiful wrap. And she has movement. She's able to open her hand and parry, perform defensive techniques. And then when she clinches her fist, the way that we wrapped it, everything kind of tightens up. And then you see that knuckle padding portion is right where I want it to be on that striking part of her knuckles. So thank you very much, man. Like and subscribe.